Yo, what is going on, everybody? It is your boy Frankie, and we're back with another video. If you watched my Team of the Year prediction video, kind of clickbaited, but if you watched it, this is going to be similar to that with my NFL Honors predictions. Nothing really more to explain. NFL Honors comes out every year, the NFL Awards, it's the MVP, the Coach of the Year, all that stuff. And in Madden, the week after they come out, every day for the whole week, we get one limited or two limited a day of the players who won those awards. So we're just going to hop right on into it and go over our first award. So starting with Coach of the Year, the candidates were Nick Sirianni, Kyle Shanahan, Brian Daboll, Sean McDermott, and Doug Peterson. And the winner of Coach of the Year is going to be Brian Daboll. Brian Daboll led the Giants to a 9-7-1 record. First Giants playoff win since 2011. And they don't really give Coach of the Year a card, but I think a nice twist for Madden this year would be like a +10 chemistry to that team, which would be crazy, and a +1 to all stats. So even if you're not making a Giants theme team, you could get him to get the +1 to all stats. And, you know, I picked Daboll just simply because he had the worst roster out of all, outside of maybe Doug Peterson. He had the worst roster and looked the best with what he had. So that's why I gave him Coach of the Year. Moving on to the next category, Comeback Player of the Year between three players, Saquon Barkley, Geno Smith, and Christian McCaffrey. And your 2022-2023 Comeback Player of the Year is Christian McCaffrey. 1,800 total yards, 13 total touchdowns. I don't even think I need to explain this one. The stats say it. Although Geno had a great year, he didn't really come back from anything outside of just being a backup. Saquon Barkley came back from his injuries, of course, looked great, but Christian McCaffrey looked the best out of everybody coming back from his injuries, and everybody, kind of gave up on him. So, with that being said, moving on to our Offensive Rookie of the Year. The candidates being Brock Purdy, Kenneth Walker, and Garrett Wilson. And your Offensive Player of the Year is Garrett Wilson. 1,100 receiving yards and 4 total touchdowns. Not the best numbers. And here's why I'm going to say I think he gets it over Ken Walker and Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy obviously emerged pretty late due to injury, and he had everything around him to succeed. He looked good, but, he had everything around him to succeed, and it wasn't like a full year thing. Ken Walker, I'm not saying he didn't, bloom early on, but I feel like Garrett Wilson, with the quarterback situation he had, 1,000 yards isn't bad. 4 touchdowns kind of is but 1,000 yards isn't bad. Ken Walker kind of just was put in a situation to succeed. So I'm giving it to Garrett Wilson. I think he did the best out of all of them. Now, Defensive Rookie of the Year should not even be a question, but it's between Sauce Gardner, Aiden Hutchinson, and Tariq Woolen. And you already know we're going back-to-back New York Jets. Sauce Gardner, 20 pass deflections, 2 interceptions, 75 tackles. All pro Sauce Gardner. I don't even think I need to explain this one. Tariq Woolen obviously had the interceptions this year. I believe he led the league with 6, which is great. But Sauce doesn't get targeted like he does. Sauce solidified himself early on that he's not a player to mess with. Week after week after week, he was taking names off the board between Tyreek Hill, Jamar Chase, all those great receivers. He was locking them down, doing everything he could. Sauce Gardner is your Defensive Player of the Year, no doubt about it. Now, here's what we get. Did I say Defensive Player? I meant Defensive Rookie if I said that. Excuse me. Now, we're getting into the Offense and Defensive Player of the Years. These are the 98 overalls. Offensive Player of the Year between Tyreek Hill, Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes, and Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson is your Offensive Player of the Year. 1,800 yards, 8 touchdowns, 14 yards per reception. Justin Jefferson had a breakout year. Phenomenal. He was that close to breaking that receiving record, but those last 2 games just cut short, man. Didn't get there. Not saying it's his fault. They got blown up by the Packers. But all year long, Justin Jefferson was the best receiver in the league. The hardest to cut. Tyreek Hill was on pace. Tyreek Hill was doing phenomenal. And then as the injuries piled up with his team and himself, they slowed down. Justin Jefferson kind of took over that role of the number one receiver and just took the league by storm. And that's why he is my offensive player of the year. Now, coming in at defensive player of the year, between Micah Parsons, Nick Bosa, and Chris Jones, it is Nick Bosa. Now, so I was kind of anticlimactic when I did that. Nick Bosa had 18.5 sacks, 48 QB hits, 51 total tackles, 19 tackles for losses. I looked at all their stats and all their numbers and tried to pick and choose between all of them. I believe Bosa had more sacks than Parsons, more tackles and tackles for loss than Jones. And Jones is a D tackle and Parsons is an edge rusher. So he's doing better than the edge rusher in sacks and doing better than the D tackle in overall tackles. So with that being said, he had a phenomenal year. Not saying Bosa's great. I think Bosa is going to be one of the best defensive players in the league for a long time. Chris Jones already solidified himself as that, but Bosa had a phenomenal year rushing the passer. Now, MVP, most valuable player. Who is the most valuable player? Well, if you saw the title, you most likely know who it is. MVP between Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, and Justin Jefferson. And your 2022-2023 NFL MVP is Patrick Mahomes. 5,250 passing yards, 41 passing touchdowns, 67% completion percentage. What more do I have to say? He's in the Super Bowl with, this doesn't even impact the MVP award. I made this before the playoffs. He just went out there balling with the third string receivers with Sky Moore, Marcus Kemp, and MVS against a pretty solid Bengals defense. And he got it done on a banged up ankle. You could put that aside just to look at this phenomenal passing resume with what he's had to deal with all the doubts this year of, he doesn't have Tyreek Hill. He doesn't. He put on a clinic this year. Patrick Mahomes is the most valuable player. And if he gets the Super Bowl MVP and the honors MVP, man, we're going to get 299 Mahomes. That might be crazy. But that's going to end off this video. Hope you guys did enjoy it. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe, and peace.